Hello everyone. No, it's not Diversity in Comics, I'm sorry, it's Underground Geek here. You should be so lucky. But I just wanted to do a quick little driving video here in honor of Diversity in Comics and talk about a couple of things that's happened in the last couple of days. Now, nothing against Diversity Comics and Captain Cummings and people like that, but when I get on their feed all the time, you know, and I follow their tweets because I really appreciate what they say. And when I get on Twitter every day and they're arguing with some of these editors and creators and things like that, sometimes it's funny and sometimes it just kind of gets a little bit old, you know, because I feel like that they're doing it so that they'll have things to talk about on their channel. But I also don't want them to take any crap from these people. Now, I don't go looking for a fight mostly because in the Bible it says turn the other cheek. Now, it doesn't say turn the other cheeks. It says turn the other cheek. So if somebody is a fool and they're being dumb and I know that it's just not worth my time, I'm not going to talk to them about it. Like, so for example of one of the reasons why I made this video, there was a guy yesterday that started attacking Diversity in Comics, calling out Stan Lee, saying that he was a fraud. Okay, first of all, that should have been a red flag for me, and it was, and that's one of the reasons I didn't really talk to him. If you're going to call out Stan Lee, one of the greatest comic creators in the world, and say that he's a fraud, and then you've got like 10,000, 5,000 Twitter followers on there, then I'm not really going to listen to what you guys say, okay? And when it looks like you haven't come out of your mom's basement in like 2 years on your profile picture, no, I'm not really going to listen to you. But he started attacking Diversity in Comics and saying that Stan Lee was a fraud, all these things like that. And I'm watching the conversation, you know, and the whole time I'm thinking, you know, they're not handling this correctly. See, when you're talking to these kind of people, you have to use, like in one of my other videos I was talking about, you have to use tactics when you're talking to these people. You know, they know one thing, and they know that one thing very well. You know what this guy did. He got on a couple of hater websites, and he read the history of Stan Lee, and where it said he got help from his uncle, and he just flogged to that. Read that in and out. Went and talked to a couple of his friends. A couple of his friends like, oh, really? You know, they're sitting around smoking pot. And they're like, oh, really? I didn't know that. What a fraud. You know? And so then that pumped him up to go out and kind of cut this guy down, cut Stan Lee down, because he thought he could one-up him and bring him down to his level. Well, I've got news for you. This guy created X-Men. He created the Hulk. He created Fantastic Four. He created Spider-Man. Now, he didn't create every character for Marvel. You know, they had creators that came and brought him characters, and he would buy the characters from them and things like that worked for him. But those were some of the ones that he created. And he started that comic book company from another comic book company and made it into something really great. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And you know, the guy brings up, hey, there was this great comic purge, you know, like it was some kind of great war or something, and he was all that survived. That's why he got so popular. No, it's because he's got talent. This man could make a character out of a ketchup bottle, and you would buy that issue every month of the Ketchup Hero magazine because he can make such a great character. So he says, here's one of his points he makes about it. He says, well, the only reason he got his job is because his uncle got his job for him. Well, he was already working a little bit in the comics industry in another comic book company, and then he saw an opportunity to better his situation by getting a job. And I'm sure his uncle said, hey, I see your talent. I would like to see about getting you another job with my company. I mean, wouldn't you do that? When in history has someone that had a good job not tried to help someone in their family better their situation? I mean, that's happened in every company in the history of man. Well, why would you not do that? I mean, if you didn't do that, you're a terrible person if you don't do that. Now, I understand going out and trying to make a name for yourself and not using your family. A lot of times, you know, you'll see successful people do that. Their sons will go out and try to make their own. I understand that, but their sons also have a lot of talent and have a good background to do that kind of stuff. He saw an opportunity and he took it, okay, and then he built it from nothing and made it into something serious. So that's one point that I have. And then my next point is, he says that all of his characters are similar. You know, oh, well, you know, even Stan Lee admits that his characters are so similar and the stories are just so, you know, blah, blah, blah. And here's my thing about that. If you make something successful, aren't you going to try to make everything, copy that and make other things and try to make them just as successful? I mean, every movie nowadays, if the first movie is successful, they immediately go into trying to make a sequel. Isn't that what you do to try to make money? I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. If you make a character like, you know, I'm trying to think of how he made it, the scale of he made each character in history there. I know he made one character and then he tried to make another set of people, like I think he made X-Men and then he tried to make the Incredible or the Fantastic Four to mimic them. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, if you said, okay, well, X-Men was very successful, well, I can't do that again, ever again. All right, let's shut down the company. I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And these are the kind of tactics these people use, you know. They try to say, oh, you did this. You know, they don't want to talk about anything else in history. They want to shut down these greats, you know, in the world. They want to take away everyone's heroes. They want to take the light out of your eyes because they're energy suckers, like I talked about in another video. And they want to bring you down to their level. They want to incite you with the information of their negativity. Okay, so back to what I was talking about in the beginning. So Diversity in Comics is going back and forth with this guy, and he's, you know, I love Diversity in Comics, but he's not doing it the right way. And I don't know if he's just doing this on purpose or whatnot, but when you talk to these kind of people, you need to use tactics. You need to constantly be on the offensive and shut these people down with questions. And that's what I kind of did with this guy. You know, I'd had enough. He's attacking Diversity in Comics. This has went on for hours now. And nobody's going anywhere. And he's just constantly just blah, 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 blah. So I got on there and I said, are you talking about Stan Lee? And he says, yep. You know, the only reason he got his job is because his uncle helped him, blah, blah, blah. And I said, so why is Marvel so successful? Never answered my question. So this went on and on and on, and we keep going, and I'm listening to the conversation, and I chimed in again, and I said, so are you saying that Fantastic Four and the Hulk and X-Men and Wolverine and Spider-Man aren't successful characters? No answer. No answer. Just completely ignored me. And that's the way that you need to go about these kind of things. I shut him down, and eventually the guy just stopped talking and started ignoring everybody. Because if you'll go in there and you'll ask these people specific questions, like let's say somebody's complaining about global warming, and if they're ranting on and on your Facebook and you're just tired of it, go in there and just say, look, what specifically do you not like about global warming? And they can't answer any questions. They'll give you a big broad answer, blah, 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 and then say, well, what specifically do you think we should do to fix it? They can't answer it. They can't answer it. And eventually they'll ignore you, or they'll block you, or they'll try to turn it into, well, it was just a joke. You know, I was just playing. And that's what we need to do. So then eventually the guy left Diversity in Comics alone. You know, I think he probably just got shut down because so triggered that people were asking him questions. He's like, well, you know, I've said my piece. I might as well leave. So then we get another guy. I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm just going to quote him. I'm not, you know, I don't name any names. I'm going to call him Racist Number One. Kind of like Rogue One. He's Racist One. So the guy has a Twitter, and it's very racist. I mean, you can tell right off the bat, it's straight out of the Racist Handbook. And I think Diversity in Comics or Captain Cummings actually done a video about this guy's quote-unquote comic that he come up with. called Black #1. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna read a comic book called Black. I mean, we're gonna make a comic book called White. But anyway, so the guy gets on there and he starts talking about multiple subjects, and he's attacking diversity in comics all over again. So this is going on, and I'm just tired of watching it. So I start asking the guy specific questions. Completely ignores me. Completely ignores me. I think he answered me one time in a generic answer, and then, I kind of said, well, that's not really answering my question. I asked him again, ignored me. And then he started throwing, gifts on there because, oh, you're going to show somebody if you put somebody on there, if you put a Bye Felicia gift on there. Oh, you told me. These people cannot handle questions or criticism. And they will always shut down and run away when you've done that. Whenever he started doing that and not answering my questions, I put a gif of Forrest Gump on there running down through his drive at 45 miles an hour, saying, this is him every time you ask him a question. He runs. And that's what he does. That's what these people do. They don't want to answer any questions. They just want to say their piece, call you a dog, and run off. And if you start asking questions, they either block you, don't answer you, or make some kind of snide comment but don't answer the question. And see, that kind of shut him down, and he just left everybody alone. But anyway, that's one of the reasons I want to make this video, because I wanted to kind of talk about all the events that were going on, and at the same time give somebody some firepower about how to talk to these people, and then go over the kind of situation that's happening. And then right now you've got this Gail Simone thing going on, and I'll talk about that later in another video. I want to do some more investigating on her. I don't know how this argument got started, but Diversity in Comics is now arguing with Gail Simone, and I'm really surprised that Gail has not blocked him. Like, that kind of surprises me about her. Either she just doesn't care enough to do it, because, honestly, she's got fired, rehired so many times on different jobs that she's probably just very lackluster and could care less about life. You could kind of tell that in her writings. And I think later I'm going to roast one of her books. I'm going to try to find one of the books that she wrote, if I can find one, if somebody hasn't flushed them all down the toilet, and roast one. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if I'm onto something. Tell me if I'm way off. Hit the bell, hit the dinger to get all my notifications, hit the like button. But I just want to do this little rant video before I go to the gym this morning and kind of talk things over everybody and see what you kind of think about the situation. All right, Underground Geek out.